Hello, this is the first video for Math0302 Beginning Algebra, Section 3, Chapter 3. We're going to work with intercepts now. A point that lies on the y-axis is known as the y-intercept, and a point that lies on the x-axis is the x-intercept. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to identify x and y intercepts. Look at this first example here, practice 1. It says identify the intercepts. The first one is asking for the x-intercept, and the second one is asking for the y-intercept. So the x-intercept is the coordinate, or the point on the line that crosses the x-axis. Now notice that here's the x-axis. So if I go along here until I see the point at which this line crosses, that point right there will be the x-intercept. What coordinate is that? Now, if you thought to yourself -4, you're wrong. It's very important to understand that the x-intercept is a coordinate in the form of x comma y. The x value, x coordinate, excuse me, the x value of the x-intercept is -4, yes. But the y value here is what? Notice we don't go up or down, which means that the y value is 0. Now the same thing happens with the y-intercept. I'm going to go for the y-axis and go along it until I see where this function crosses the y-axis. It crosses it at that point. Now, the question is what is that coordinate? Well, again, that coordinate is in form of x comma y. How far from the origin do I have to go left or right to get to this point? Well, you don't. So that's going to be a 0. And the y value we're going to go down to, which means that the y-intercept is going to be 0, -2. Now notice that -2 is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. Okay, let's look at B here. Okay, B, again, we're finding the x and y intercept. Even though the axes are not labeled here, this is still the x-axis and this is still the y-axis. It's always going to be like that unless stated otherwise. Now, for the x-intercept, I go along the x-axis and the point at which it crosses is my x-intercept. Now, here's the thing about the x-intercept. The y value will always be 0, and the opposite with the y-intercept. The x value will be 0. So I'm really just looking for the x and y coordinates of the x and y intercepts. Now the question is what coordinate is this? Well, from here I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right, which means it is 6, 0. And the same thing with the y-intercept. From the origin I go down 1, 2, 3, 4 value, or 4 units. So it's going to be 0, -4 for the y-intercept. Notice that it says that finding the x and y intercepts. It's kind of like what I've just talked about. To find the x-intercept, we let y equal 0 and solve for x. To find the y-intercept, let x equal 0 and solve for y. Now, here's something that's important to understand. The x-intercept means that the y is 0, and the y-intercept means that the x is 0. It's always the opposite is going to be 0. So if I have an equation, let's say it's a linear equation, for the x-intercept I would plug in 0 for y. That means that b times y is 0. So that just leaves me with ax equals c. And I would solve that equation for x. The same thing down here for the y-intercept, I'd plug in 0 for x, means that the x would be 0 here. And that would leave me with just b times y equals c, and I would solve for y.